We have four writers from four different languages of South India. There are no moderators for this session. So I'm taking the microphone first because I'm the representative of the host language, Malayalam. Not only that, the topic of the session is young voices from the South. But I am not no longer a young voice. I am quite old comparing with these people. They are all young writers in their 30s. So we will start with, we'll first introduce these writers first. Then we will have some common platform to move on. We need to regulate because there are no moderators. We need to regulate ourselves and exercise control our speeches. So first, let me introduce Mithra. Ladies first. Mithra Alaguvel. She belongs to Theni, which is a bordering town of Muna, and she is now settled in Chennai. She is a consultant writer of films, and she's films and television serials. She has 2 poetry collections to her credit and 1 short story collections. The difference between Malayalam and other languages I noticed, most of them are writing poetry as well as fiction. In Malayalam, very rarely happens. Anyway, so her renowned short story is Kavanamaali, which means Kadal. So she has been writing for the last 5 years. So I would like to ask you, how has been your literary journey till now, and when did you start writing, and what prompted you to start a writing career? And you can tell them how good is your surrounding literary scene in Tamil, right?
Hello. Hi to people. So I was starting my writing journey from schooling itself. I'm exposed to reading from my age of 10. So my family is quite my family contains quite readers. So
do you have any writers in your family?
No, readers. I'm a first
generation writer.
Family. So I started reading Balakumaran and Sujata and Sandilyan from my primary schools itself. In my higher secondary, don't know here. In Tamil Nadu, we have a language paper, Tamil. We have first paper and second paper. In second paper, we have that grammar and creativity sections. So we had the part we can write a poem or we can write a essay.
Compulsory.
Yeah, that's a compulsory. That's our question. One poem or a essay for 2 or 3 pages. Poem means we can write 15 lines. Essay means we should write for 2 or 3 pages. So for time constraints, I start to write poems for that question. So that's when I start my poem writing journey. So surprisingly, my teacher praising me for that poems. So I accidentally found me as a poet, and so
accidental poet.
Accidental poet. So even that time itself, I don't see myself as a serious writer or poet. I was doing it as a hobby only. It's a problem of women, I think. Women can't allowed by family to pursue their profession seriously. We do education as a compulsory only. We don't know what to do in home, so we sent to school or colleges by family. So I studied business administration and MA economics without idea of what to do in future. So situation came and I step out of my family and I'm in a spot to pursue my future and career. I don't know what to do. Suddenly that spark, no, we know what we are, what area we are good at what area we are expert in. So in that exploration, I found myself as a writer. I started my writing journey as a journalist in 2018. So that's when my life changed upside and down. So
When do you get first published? I mean, published outside your answer papers.
so as a journalist, I wrote a number of essays and articles in magazines like that. But in literature, I published my first poetry collection in 2020. That's Mithra Alaguvel. That whole collection explored the world of women suppressing.
No, in Kerala, what happens in Malayalam, we publish individual poems in different magazines. We have print magazine, now online magazines as well. But are you publishing a book compiling all the poems, or before that are you getting published in individually?
No, we can do
both.
either this or that.
But in your case, what happened?
In my, I never published my poems in any literary magazines like that. I wrote on social medias, so that will give me a huge number of followers. So from social media, I enter into literature in Facebook.
So can I go to? So our friend Dadapeer Jyman is a Kannada writer. Is the only person whom I had met 2 years back in Bangalore while I was spending my time in residency, Sangam residency. He came there for a talk, right? So Dadapeer is actually winner of Sahitya Akademi Yuva Puraskar. He has published 3 books. One is one translation, one story collection, which is Neela Kurinji, and one biography of a trans man. So far, he has not written any novels, but maybe planning to do one. He is a teacher. He is a mathematics postgraduate, and he was a teacher for mathematics for some time now. He is into research. So tell us your journey as a writer, and how did you come to this area? I mean, from mathematics to literature, and how has been your publications here?
Thank you, sir. Hello, Kerala. I'm a big fan of Malayalam films and the food. So it's lovely to be here, and thank you for the whole hospitality and everything. Thank you, MBIFL. So I never thought one day I would become a writer, because I was doing my master's in mathematics. That too, if I look back now, I feel like I made all the choices because those things were easy. So mathematics was a very easy subject for me. So amidst of all other subjects, so I opted mathematics. But even my professors and my classmates never thought one day I would write. But they used to bring all their poems and stories to look and review. I was just doing that. Hey, it is working, it is not working. This I liked, this I didn't like. Then for a job, I came to Bangalore. That too, I want to become a TV anchor, to be very honest. But suddenly I started writing because I was reading back then when I was doing my master's, because many of my classmates and fellows were preparing for IAS examinations, and they were opting, Kannada is one of the subjects. They should read the novels. So even I should just read all the writers, at least two books from each, veteran writers of Kannada. Then after coming to Bangalore, I started writing. I first wrote poem. So I felt like still I go to writing because it gives me a sense of courage, and it which gives me a sense of honesty, where I cannot tell my feelings and my courage, where all the people doubt me, or even all structures of society, like society and family and all the things. So it gives me a sense of courage, sense of myself, sense of identity, sense of everything. So where I cannot be myself, I can be myself in writing. So in that way, I started writing. Even still, I feel like, hey, I want to tell this story at any cost. I want to, translate this because it is, very dear to my heart. I want to, bring this, tell this story in any form. I'm ready to collaborate of something because these stories really matters to society. That's my, brief journey as a writer so far. And as Sir said, yeah.
Which book did win this Yuva Puraskar?
Yuva Puraskar, my short story collection, Neela Kurunji, won Yuva Puraskar.
How many stories are there?
There are 10 stories in that. I've been writing poetry, but nobody is publishing. So that we can talk in our next question. Thank you so
I
much.
told him that once you become a poet, you are
Yeah.
becoming a saint. Don't think about celebrity status or
Yeah,
saints.
so-
All those things you can just forget. You continue your journey, you will get published.
Yeah, so that's true, but being young and being saint is, a very difficult friction
Poet
journey
is a
to
saint.
achieve.
Poet is a saint. Kavanamaali is a Telugu writer. He has a very beautiful name. This is a pen name, Kavanamaali, but he has asked me not to disclose his name. So Kavanamaali, he has been writing for the last 10 years, 5 years. 5 years. He is a lyricist. He has written some lyrics and consultant writer. Not 2 poetry collections and include one short story collection. 2 short story collections. He has published altogether 5 books, 1 novel. Vaidarani Vodanna is the collection. It is on the banks of river Vaidarani. He started his journey from 2014, so almost a decade.
Yeah.
So Kavanamaali will explain his literary. Once again, I'll tell you, other than these 3 languages, Kannada, Malayalam and Tamil, they have an additional problem because we have a mutual friend. Purnima Thammireddy is a writer. She's a writer as well as a publisher. She says, in Telugu what happens, there are 2 extremes. One is revolutionary poetry or revolutionary literature. You know the history of Telugu literature. And other one is, the other stream is popular pulp literature. In between, the kind of serious literature we are referring to actually is not there. They are trying to cultivate the kind of literature which we are. She is a publisher. Purnima Thammireddy, our friend. She has LME.
LMI publication.
LMA, she is slowly publishing some books. She is learning different languages, including Urdu. So she translates it. So she is doing a very good service. I wish she had been there. She were there. Yeah, so Kavanamaali can explain his writing.
Hi Kerala. So actually the first thing is I want to thank one person from whom I got to know about the Kerala literature, the Malayalam literature is Vaikam Muhammad Bashir sir. So with him, with his writings only, I got to know about Malayalam literature, and from that day, I became a very fan of Malayalam literature. So actually, here he mentioned as writer, but wherever I go, I introduce myself as occasionally a writer, always a reader. That's my always. I introduce myself like that only because in a year I write only around like 2 months like that, but rest of the 10 months I'll be just a reader like everyone. So my journey is actually started in 2014. Before that itself, so everything starts with curiosity. So from childhood onwards, I had this intention like I generally used to hear songs, but not as regular. Always I observe these lyrical patterns and the expressions in the songs. So that always brings a joy in me. So because of that, I tried whenever I hear a new song, I write my version. So some of my friends observed that one and they encouraged me a lot. And in my graduation days, we had a daily assignment. Like every day morning when we go to college, they'll give a random song, a random situation. By the end of the day, I need to give a version of myself, my new song. So that we continued for 2 years actually. It's a learning process for around like I wrote around 350 songs like that, but not everything is a great thing, but everything is a part of learning. So from that, until that I never read in any book. Whatever I read, whatever I studied is the songs I listened. So from that, I introduced to literature. So from there, I got music directors like that. So I started writing lyrics for the short films that time, 2014 like that. So, an accidental thing which drove me to the book writing actually. So one of my friend is there. I mean, entire my journey was built up my friends. That's once again from here I'm thanking everyone. So one of my friend Rahul is there, Rahul Bhatni. He in 2014 he is going to abroad and he asked me to come to meet just one final time, like next time when we don't know when we meet. So I went there. So there is no place to sit and chit chat. So he's a reader actually. Every time he pushed me to read something, but I said like, if I have a patience to read 300 pages of book, I'll be in a different place, not in this college like that. I used to put some jokes like that. So he mentioned like there is a nearby Himalayan bookstore. Can we go there? Because AC will be there, so we can we can chit chat for some time. So we went there and he wantedly gave a book, a novel. He said that it's my gift, so you can't refuse it. So I don't want it, but still I get it as a gift. So I came to my home, I started reading. In off day itself, it's completed. I don't know how it happened. From that day till now, I never stopped reading. So as I said, like in this 10 years, what is my achievement is more than these 5 books. I built a personal library with 6,000 books. That's my more than this more than this 5 books writing. That personal library gave me so much strength, so much energy for my life and everything. So much inspiration will be there. So after reading, after read 5 years from 2014 to around 2018. So somewhere Satyajit Ray, I thought to write something. My thoughts are becoming expressions that time. I observed that change. Whenever I want to share my thoughts, it became expression. So I want to put it somewhere. So that time, Satyajit Ray, one famous quote will be there, like rather than creating a superhero, I'm interested to write a common person life I want to document a common person life. So that's where it started. So in a street where I born and brought up, so I took all the members, person's life there, and I added drama, and I published my first book as Manasu Nesina Kathalu, a heart stitch stories. Yeah.
Thank you. Now we'll discuss publishing. Little bit of publishing. How a person...
if you can tell your journey in short.
Because as a Malayalam writer, I think most of these people know me. Anyway, in general, I'll tell you. I said, I'm not a young voice. I'm a kind of veteran. For the last 3 decades, I've been writing in Malayalam. I write majorly fiction, short stories and novels. And 3 books I've published as children's literature as well. Some translations. That's my story. But let me tell you how I come up, in the sense that how a writer comes up in Malayalam and chooses a career as a writer, which that way you can also tell us the experience. In Malayalam, what happens in our college days, every college will have a magazine. It's prior to the Facebook era. This college magazine we write some poems, and there are some competitions in the university level. So we generally go for some competitions, and we may win some prizes. That will trigger, kind of. And there are some other competitions, like the Mathrubhumi, which is a very important weekly here, magazine, periodical here. They are conducting a literary competition every year for poem, then short stories. So some of the writers, like I told you, N.S. Madhav, he came up in 1970, winning the first prize for the short story. So many of the writers do so. So that way, initially we get a kind of push. Then we start. So once we win some prizes and we get published in the regional magazines, which are very important. There are 4 or 5 important magazines in Kerala. We get published and we get noticed. Nowadays, immediately these books like publishing houses like Mathrubhumi, DC Books, they are important publishing houses there. They notice, they come to us and ask for a collection. That's all. And most of the time, we write short stories first. Then slowly we graduate to bigger versions like novels. That's how it happens. Sometimes some of the people first come up with a kind of novels, debut novels. That happens. But generally, we will restrict ourselves into to some compartments. Like we generally avoid writing poems. Like you, we may start with poems, but generally, after some time, we give up poetry. Most of the fiction writers and starting a fiction career, fictional career, in fact. So that's how it happens. So nowadays, after some time, we immediately get picked up by the publishers. And you must have noticed there are huge crowds for the literature festivals. And we are having the huge film festival, art festivals. Somehow we are lucky in that way. We are selling like popular, this also, even serious fiction also getting sold. So this is the way we get published. So tell me as well. Tell me how a new voice is being heard in your language. How, what are the avenues for publishing? How are you getting noticed? Those things you can briefly tell. Maybe you start with Dadapeer.
Even in Karnataka also the same thing, because we have a many newspaper. In every newspaper we have a column for literature. At least few of them have at least reserved, even post-COVID era, like Prajavani and Kannada Prabha. Prajavani and Kannada Prabha and other newspapers. And also we have a different competitions for the short story competitions and the poetry competition. And recently in this year they announced the playwriting competition. So all these competitions will give the young writers to to write and then to send to the entry, and then if they get a prizes, even a short list or a long list, it would give amount of confidence in them that, oh, okay, so what I'm writing has something, because it has to cross the jury and all the the filter committees and all that. So I think that has been there.
Is there any kind of college magazines in your?
Yeah, I think some college. I think we have some Christ College competitions.
No. In Kerala, every college will have one magazine.
Yeah, sir. Even
every year they publish a magazine having all the.
Yeah, it's there. So even college magazines and competitions and newspapers. So for a young writer, it is the Karnataka scene is booming. So they are getting many opportunities. Even they are getting utilizing it, and also in terms of voices. So many Dalit voices and queer voices, even feminist voices, even Muslim voices, all these voices are also getting staged, because of these avenues in terms of magazines and newspapers and competitions. So, today, if some person, sitting in some rural background, rural setting of Raichur or Gadag or something, even they can write, or they can get a confidence that, oh, I can write, I can send it. Oh, even my stories also will be heard. Or even I have a story to tell. So even for these, sparks, we do have a very vibrant scenario in Karnataka.
Publishing book houses? Chanda,
yeah. So even in publishing houses, it is very booming. So we, say for example, as you mentioned, Chanda publication, and Akshata Hunchadkatte's Aharnishi publication, Vaishnavi publication. Even as we have a very big giant publications like Ankita publications, Sapna publications, and also there, which usually encourage a big veteran writers. And also we have a small publications from a very rural setting, like say Vaishnavi publication, who say my Neela Kurunji came from a friend who started his publication, so he used to just do a friend's publications. Even we were very comfortable, we could know how many copies were sold, because they print 1,000 copies. Hey macha, how many copies were sold? Are you getting some profit? At least the copies were sold. So even we had that rapport. But a very important thing which is happening, which is very heartwarming thing, is like the people are opting for the self-publication for poetry. Because a big publications announce, okay, please don't come for poetry because it'll never sell. People, because of avenues like Facebook and Instagram, so people are writing and people are posting it. So then even for a publisher, it would be a very heavy cost to print it, even consider the paper cost thing and to publish. Even the government has announced that the postal charges are also, they'll not waive off. Something is going on. So, okay, when the big publishers announced like, okay, we'll not publish poetry. So then, in last year, so the poets also took a courage to, publish their own poetry collection, and it is going really, really well. They're also winning this one. So they are, the comments is also, welcoming. They're saying like, okay, so as you mentioned, poetry is always a slow runner. So it will go slowly. So from, publicized from word of mouth, but it will definitely reach to the,
It will stay.
It'll stay. So in that way, it is all good, good scenario only in that case.
Chanda is the publishing house of Vasudendra, a famous writer. He used to visit Kerala, and he is
Yeah.
a regular in most of the festivals here. He's a friend.
in
He has
that
published Tejo Tungabhadra, a novel in English, which we are expecting in short time in Malayalam public. To
Yeah.
come Malayalam version as well.
Yeah, so in that way, Chanda Publication published my first translation of a novel, which is called Parda and Polygamy. So in that way, my first publication is translation rather than short stories. So Chanda Publication also encourages the translations, which is really important. Even the not only translation from French, German, other thing, but translation, in between
That we will
the
discuss.
South Indian languages. Yeah.
Mithra, tell us how.
Comparatively, in Tamil Nadu, the situation is good only. We have different type of publishers for all category of writers. So I was surprised when he said I don't get publishing house poetry. So there is a huge demand for award-winning writers. So apart from that, famous writers and young generation writers also, they immediately start a publication when they are famous. When they are getting famous, they are starting a publication house.
They themselves start
Themselves starting a publication house for their own, to publish their own books. So there is a problem of royalty. Their publication house not ready to give royalty to the writers and poets. They didn't even tell us how many books are sell, what is the demand. They never disclose how many copies they print. They never disclose that. So then POD, when POD the thing is when arrived, we can print a minimum of 100 books. So they publish themselves to sell the books. At least they know how their books are received. No.
How do you sell it? Through Amazon, or are you selling
to
it
Amazon or booksellers? No, the book
individual
shops.
Oh.
They will give to shops, or through social media, readers can directly approach them to send like that. Things currently happening in Tamil.
What about? We are curious. Telugu.
So actually, whatever you're discussing, like the new voices, how it is heard, like. So the thing is, Madhurantakam Narendra, one writer was there. Madhurantakam Narendra, sir. So he mentioned one time, like most of the writers in their starting of journey, they write some other stories, some other person's stories. Slowly, they'll get to know their style, and after some time, they'll start writing their stories. This I observe, and because we do have a reading influence and everything like that. But recently, in past few years, what I observed is people started writing with their stories only. There are so many people. When we have a discussion, they're telling like, if we don't tell our stories, no one will going to tell. So that's why we are writing our stories by our own.
How are you getting published, or how are you?
Yeah. So regarding that, after getting that, like the same thing, like in
Do you
newspaper.
have any college kind of obligations?
No, college kind of I didn't aware of that much, but as in Telugu also there are so many publications were there, each having their own agenda, kind of their one for translations, one for the young generation people like that. So most of the people, the biggest thing like they both mentioned, like nowadays people are going for self publications. That's a boom actually in Telugu as well. So they are printing their books on their own, and they are they're using, with technology, they're getting used to the trend. So they are using Instagram or Facebook, these kind of social media platforms as this contacting like to the readers. So they're sharing the reviews, and the readers get to know what book is coming, the young persons what he's writing. So this playing a key role, and because of that, so many people are ready to write with a dare. Actually, earlier there are so many persons have a passion to write, but they get confused. Like, okay, after writing, what I can do? So now that question is not there. People are ready to write, and people are even so many publications were there. Actually, even my publication, my publisher Rayudu Satyababu garu, even sometimes after I write, I doubt myself, but he don't doubt. He believes me more than myself. So thanks for that. And there are so many publications were there, Chaya publication and Anvikshiki, Aju. So all are encouraging new talents. What are the new novels, especially in Telugu? Recently, Anvikshiki has held a competition of novels. They published 28 novels in the span of 3 months. And they conducted a competition, and that's a huge accomplishment from my end, I can see. So that's it.
Now we'll move on to the subject of translations. Malayalam as a language, we accept as many voices as possible. Whenever there is a voice from other countries, like whenever a book happens in Latin America, Europe, or America, we immediately get it translated into our language. Maybe we're in a hurry, perhaps the translations are not that good. That also I can admit. But even then, we accept so many books from different languages, including Indian languages. I can tell you, we have maybe more than or near about 500 titles from Bangla language. Kannada also. Kannada, most of these big writers are selling very well in Kerala, maybe better than their native places. So in Bangla, Kannada, Tamil, maybe Telugu is an exception. Most of the languages we have translations. And again, Latin America, especially Marquez is our own writer, we used to say. So most of the titles in other language we immediately pick up and get it translated. That is maybe the advantage of Malayalam, and we sell them very well. So what is your experience in translation? Because when if you need to enrich a language, you need translations. We always throw open our windows and doors to people to come. That way, what is your experience? So we will start with Kavanamaali this time.
So this even I feel like there is a place to improvisation in Telugu. Most of the times when we meet with writers and publications, we do have this discussion on the translations, because for Telugu, when a Malayalam book or Tamil, Kannada book is a very famous one, it gets successful. So within short period of time, we get a translated one. We get to know like what is happening in other states, actually, other contemporary as well. So when it comes to from Telugu to other languages, the situation is different actually. Even we want to let them know like, okay, this is what happening in the contemporary, because earlier you have mentioned like how newcomers has been heard. There is one person, Kadir Babu, Muhammad Kadir Babu. Every time like recently he mentioned like Deepavali Pratyekatalu, he held one competition and he published a book. In that book, everyone says that most of them was first stories, those are. So the thing is, so many people are writing, so many contexts, so many things are discussing, but that are not transmitted to other languages. People are not knowing, like, even you asked in the earlier, like, okay, is there like, how is the contemporary literature? So it's good actually. So many people were writing, so many things are there, but the thing is, we are discussing and soon we come up with a plan, like so many publications were thinking about the translations as well. In Telugu, we have a Chaya publications. Most of the times, like from other languages, Kannada, Tamil, they are translating the literature to Telugu. Hopefully, like they'll translate from Telugu to other languages as well. So that's a place of improvement. We'll see.
Mithra.
So there are a promising number of translators in Tamil, but mostly they are translating a famous books or famous authors only. So our government, Tamil Nadu government initiating the process to
Good.
translate our Tamil to other languages, in regional languages like Gujarati, Marathi also, and international languages also. They take a initiative and arrange the meeting for international publishers and the publishers from other states with our publishers. They make a agreement, and so there is a place to meet other language publishers from for the writers. So they can give a synopsis of their works, or they can meet with interactions. They conclude to come for the agreements. So my one of the friends poetry collection in Tamil in January. So they made agreement to translate in Gujarati, Marathi, Telugu, and English, Turkey too. So they initiating this initiatives from past 2 years only. So Sahitya Academy also, I think they take
Award-winning novels.
yeah. That works also going. So in my experience of reading, translating books, when the translating coming from a native languages, Gujarati to Tamil means it will the quality was good, but Gujarati to English, English to Tamil means
But
there
is
is a
no other
difference.
way.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah,
even
yeah,
the
yeah,
bordering
yeah.
districts, we don't have many people to translate our.
So in that case, government should initiate the process, no?
No, that happens. No, most of the European films are coming up with the collaborative ventures of different countries. That way, we can also think about it. So suppose Kannada and Malayalam, if they can devote some amount of money for translations in between the languages,
So
that will be a great.
Some countries give us stipend to translate their language books into Tamil means some countries give us stipend.
I'll tell you, this is the centenary year of one major translation into Malayalam of Les Miserables from French. That was done by a famous writer, Nalapad Narayana Menon. He did it from English, not from direct French. That happens, but it revolutionized our prose. That happens. Even, I'll tell you, I told you that many of the titles from Bengali, we have accepted many titles from Bengali, but from Malayalam to other language, it's very meager amount of books. Last month I had an opportunity to publish one book in Bangla. That was also from some indirect sources from English, not directly. We don't get many people to translate from in between our languages. That's difficult. Even then, this indirect translation will do a lot of good for our languages. So Dadapeer can contribute something about the subject.
So when we talk of translations, there are translations from other languages. So when you say other languages, even from English and French and German also coming to Kannada. And also we have translations coming from Telugu, Tamil and Malayalam also. As Mithra was saying, say for example, Chanda is also putting an effort to, having translations without an aid of English in between. So we have, those kind of translations are coming because, accuracy and even though the quality of the translation will be more when we translate from our original language. So those things are all happening.
But that is difficult. Even from Spanish, we are translating first into English and then we.
Correct.
A link language will be ideal always.
Correct, sir. But now, as we are too much of globalized now, so the Chanda recently, made a post saying if anyone knows Spanish and Kannada. So in that way, the English thing, could be ruled out. But the other way, the number of translations going from Kannada to other languages less, when we compare to the other scenario. Of course, we have Ananthamurthy, Lankesh, Bhairappa, and Jayan sir, Vivek sir, and then it stops to Vasudendra and then Dattatri. But the young generation's books are not, translated much. I think it's all happens through a network, or else somebody winning a prize, then the other language will be would be interested. Maybe that could be one litmus test to, oh, the book is good, oh, the book is doing well. Or else or else they ask the writers, oh, is it good, is it working? So in my case, my book is translated, but it's stuck with the agent. And also in English, the short stories things are not welcoming when we compare to novels. So all those kinds of problems will be there in translations, but translations are happening in Kannada.
We need to nurture some of the,
Yeah. Maybe
talents
it's
in
slow process. I perceive, or I look at it in this way that, oh, now these many writers are going to other languages. Maybe it's a slow process and effort and stories and all that. So someday the other translations might go. So people should wait.
What about artificial intelligence? Will it help?
Oh, so it's a very good question, because even I do myself do a translation. But for non-fiction thing, the AI accuracy is almost like 70%. In that way, only Supreme Court judgments and all will be translated very easily, right? So okay, nowadays, so it's a boon and a bane in both the way, because in olden days we should just search, okay, what we should refer for the dictionaries, Oxford Dictionary for words. Now it is very easy. What is the meaning of so and so? And for non-fiction, it is, so either we perceive as a competition for human thing, but for fiction it is not possible from AI, because fiction, there is a lot of parameters, of a dialect, of a culture, of a, all that human
Nuances, all the
experience and
nuances.
nuances. The AI cannot even reach there. But for non-fiction, it's all, because it's all stored. All the data is stored, all the words are stored, everything is stored, so it can almost, the accuracy could be near. I think there it could be in future. I assume that which may boils down to a quality control, because okay, why not? So it's always, we should not if we can consider, if we can leverage on the technology. If we just get instead of translate a non-fiction translation, if we boils down to quality control, there also is a human effort only, in that way. But fiction, so at least translators are safe, and there is
At least we are safe for some
we are
time.
safe for some more years. And always the technology democratizes everything. So then, because nobody should have a control of anything and everything, right? So if it is democratized, if it is reaching people more and more, why not? We'll find some other thing.
Yuval Noah Harari says we need some control over artificial intelligence, like against counterfeit currency. We need to have some control. That's a different subject. Anyway.
That's a different subject. Also, the other panel, the Alvin was saying, in ChatGPT, how it is asking the novels, and this one it is selling it. It's a different.
This will go beyond our brief, so we'll discuss it later. But coming back to individual product, because individual writing. So I would like to ask you, what are you currently working at? Are you have any kind of projects? What is your next publication? All those things you can just mention, because it's an opportunity to communicate with readers. So we'll start with the Kavanamaali.
Yeah, so last November, I got published one novel. Its name is Nrukesari. It's a mythological Nrukesari, Nrukesari. It's a Lord Narsimha name. So it's a mythological fiction. So I want to experiment like with every book actually. So whatever the 5 books I've written, I won't repeat the theme or the craft. Everything I'll change it, because whenever, I don't know how many books I write. If 10 books I have written, if I erase my name, no one will find out these things are written by only one person. I want to learn from book to book. So like that.
Write differently.
Yeah, I want to touch multi-genres, multi-crafts and multiple themes. I want to learn literature.
Even then your signature will be there.
Yeah,
That's the idea.
but I told you, right, even I'm a writer, but I want to be a learner, always. So that Nrukesari is a 2 parts actually. Last year, the first part got Nrukesari Kadhanaprastham, that got released, and it got very positive responses. And this year I'm planning for Nrukesari Kalahaprastham, the second part. And for to it, I do have a novel as well. It's a urban love story. So that might be by year end I'll publish
How
it.
soon can we read your novels and poems in English? Are you getting
Actually, few discussions have happened regarding my Vaitarni Odana stories collection. That because that gave me a standard loyal fans, I can say, like friends. So so many friends brought by like Vaitarni Odana. So many people are asked like, why can't this can be translated to English or some other languages? So there are discussions are happening about Vaitarni Odana soon.
It will happen soon.
Yeah.
Mithra.
So I am writing poems only now. I don't want to push myself to that publishing race because in Tamil Nadu there is a season in January for writers. In book fair happening in January, in every January. So everybody running like a race to publish their books in Jan.
Seasonal writing, seasonal writers.
Yeah. So basically it's an introvert thing. I think I never approach anybody to translate my works. I never send my books to any awards. So I don't know. I don't know why.
So last year I got one fellowship called a creative fellowship to explore masculinity and femininity. So as a part of that, I was writing few poems exploring and reflection of that. So in last year I wrote some 25 poems, but I want to increase it more because I feel like somewhere it is incomplete. So in that way, that's been happening, and now I'm directing a play for the first time. So the show is on February 16th. So it's a docudrama. So apart from that, I have a thing to write a novel. But as I was mentioning, I am really struggling with discipline. Because it's not like writing stories or stories, because stories sometimes we get a mood and then we write off. But novel, it's really a serious job. Every day we have to, we should have at least some discipline. At least you should, run in your, it should run in our mind. I also want to write a full-fledged play because I was really a fan of Girish Karnad, and I used to read a lot of his plays. And apart from that, as Kavanamaali was saying, I also want to explore different art forms in any possibility. My only thing is like to tell human stories in some sort. In either, I don't care it is collaboration, association, or whatnot. But I want to tell the stories which is really important to my heart and soul, and is really really important to at the present time, which is the stories to be told.
Anyway, I hope Dadapeer will take up a novel project. It's like digging a well using a needle. That's what Orhan Pamuk says. So once you close the door and start writing, discipline manner, then only novel will come out. Anyway, time is almost up. I think, sir. We can take 2-3 questions, right? 2-3 questions. I think sir will start first.
Old voice from the north.
Everybody knows you.
I was struck by the fact that you did.
Keep the mic.
I was struck by the fact that none of you referred to publishing translations in other Indian languages of Indian English non-fiction.
English, which you are.
So I am a writer
I know.
of non-fiction in English, in Indian English, and I was wondering whether there is any scope for
Plenty of scope, sir. We are publishing, at least in Malayalam, we get number of titles, non-fiction titles from Indian English language, including yours. I think you have been published in Malayalam, no?
Not that I know of.
No. And most of I can tell you, most of these writers, like the young historians like Manu S. Pilla, Vikram Sampath, all these people are getting translated immediately into Malayalam.
So even in Kannada, we have translations of non-fiction. So even as mentioned, we have Manu S. Pilla's translations to Kannada and other.
This is to the Kannada front. Recently I have read in newspaper that a Japanese woman novelist was given a jury award for a novel. But in fact it was 80% from ChatGPT. Only her contribution is 20%. What is your take on it? Even the jury doesn't understand that it was stolen from, looted from ChatGPT. They didn't recognize whether it is her original or it is from AI. What is your take on it? 20% of the other contribution only, 80% from generative AI.
So I think, so my personal take would be, our writers should be really, really honest. As I think some Mithra or they were saying, so we are telling stories, what the stories, is already not told, or it is our expressions. So I think it's which boils down to the writers' dignity, writers, integrity to tell their own stories. But as you're saying, even yesterday I was there in the panel where you're also there and you're asking questions of chat GPT and all, how it has been taking control and all that. So it is a different discussion altogether, but I want to make one comment that our writers should be very, very, very honest, because we have a lot of information in this era. So then what story do we want to tell to this in this information zone? Right? So the answer would be the story which we feel like it really matters to me, then only which is going to really matter to the world. So I think which boils down to the writer, is my take.
Not only that, ChatGPT is in the initial stages. I think they will develop some tools to investigate into this kind of... In research, we have already have some kind of tools to know how much is the kind of plagiarism kind of things. That will happen later.
Okay. This is to Mithra. What about the digital demand or digital publishing in Tamil Nadu? Books on
Online.
demand. Books on demand.
Print on demand. Yes. She has already spoken.
Print on demand. In Tamil Nadu, I already told, no, there is a lot of publications for any kind of writers. So they print a book on demand. They can print a minimum quality of 100 copies. The quality is obviously low when compared to the traditional printing method.
Can we take one more question? Final question. Yeah, you start.
This is for Dadapeer. You mentioned that in poetry you view courage and honesty as very important things. I want to know how that connects to publishing queer stories, and how, like, does it take courage to publish queer stories in Kannada?
I think Kannada publishing industry, and also the Kannada critics and Kannada fellow writers and contemporaries are always welcomed all sorts of voices in Kannada, be it Dalit, Muslim, queer and feminist and all those things. I think one key is like with the writers. So we should whether writers are expressing and telling a nuanced story, a nuanced queer story. That really matters. So, that's where the courage picture comes in. So it's not, okay, when I use the word courage, it's not only courage, I'll write this story, I'll become famous. No, it's not that courage. So I have a courage and honesty and integrity to tell this story, which is really matter to me. And, writing is also act of becoming nude in everyone, but still it's because which matters to me. It's not like only telling some stories of other. It's not that, right? So I use the courage in that manner. I hope I answered your question.
Time is up to close. This is a very important session as far as the interaction is concerned. Especially, we generally get time to spend with other writers from outside writers, not with neighboring writers. Next door neighbor, we don't know. Maybe outside Facebook, we don't know. So this is a great initiative. I think this will continue in the sessions to come in the Mathrubhumi Festival and other festivals as well. Hope our interaction will continue outside these sessions. Thank you so much for the patient hearing. Thanks for Mathrubhumi for organizing such a session. Thanks a lot.